Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're traveling down memory lane as we talk about the movies, TV shows, and music we've loved throughout the decades. Join us to reminisce about old favorites or to get ideas to put on your entertainment list. Either way, we've got a fun show for you. Let's get started. Listeners, today we're talking about our favorites throughout the decades, and this is an idea from a listener. Today's podcast comes from one of our many listener suggestions that we got. Yay, Julie and Mindy,
Yay.
Aren't you excited?
Yes, thank you, whoever sent this in.
I know. I love when people give us great ideas.
Yes, and this is going to be a fun topic as we travel back down memory lane, some farther than others. And this person specifically asked what movies, TV shows, and songs we have liked throughout our lives. So we're going to stick to those three topics because we could probably spend 45 minutes on movies, but we're going to divide it up, obviously. But anyways, a lot of these will be familiar to you. And if not, then they might inspire you to watch a new movie, a new TV show, or download some new music. But let's start out with movies, Julie and Mindy, and let's go back, way back to the beginning of our lives. What movies were our favorites in childhood? And when I watched a movie in childhood, it had to be on TV at the time, no DVD, no VHS. So these are movies that probably most people have seen because I think everybody had a common experience when we all had to only watch our movies through TV.
Yeah, and I remember certain ones just came on once a year. So you waited for that to come on. And if you missed it, you missed it. You had to wait a whole nother year. There was no running to the Blockbuster to get a movie, you know.
And you sat through those commercials.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's a 3-hour event.
All right. Well, Julie, you are the oldest among us. So why don't you take us way, way back? What were your favorite childhood movies?
Okay. Taking you back to 1968. And this movie, I immediately thought of this movie when I thought of favorite childhood movies. And I actually will still watch this movie today. It's Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
No, I've never seen it.
Oh, my God.
Me neither.
Is it black and white, Julie?
No, it's not
Is
black
there
and
sound?
white. All right, I'm about to get my feelings hurt.
I'm totally
1968, people.
Is it about chimney sweepers?
No. Oh,
What's it about?
Okay, before we meet again, you must watch this movie. It has Dick Van Dyke, and it's set in England, and he's an eccentric inventor, and he takes an old race car, and he makes it into this magical flying car, and they go on all these adventures, and I do remember, though, they're in this town where no children are allowed, and there's a child catcher, and that used to scare me to death because he was a very creepy old man, and he would put children in cages if he caught them out on the street. And all the people in the village hid their children underground in this, creepy place, and that was very scary. I mean, it's still pretty scary looking.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Well, maybe that started your love affair with England.
I think so.
Well, I have not seen that movie. Mindy has not seen that movie. Listeners, maybe you have not seen that movie, and it's something you need to turn on.
I also loved, my mom would just take me and a friend to this little movie theater that was in our mall. And I'm thinking under 10 years old, she would drop my friend and I off at the movie. I think she shopped while we stayed in the movie. And we loved all the Disney movies like That Darn Cat, Benji, Herbie the Love Bug, Parent Trap, all those. I loved all of those movies. And we introduced all those to our kids, and they love them too.
That's funny because you saw those movies in the theater. And by the time I was old enough to see those movies, they were on TV.
Yes.
Well, some of those probably were on TV. Do you remember the Sunday nights, The Wonderful World of Disney came on?
I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah. So some of those were like Parent Trap, I think I saw on TV.
Oh, that was on regular
ABC
TV. Yeah, it was on regular TV because we only had 3 channels growing up.
Oh, yeah, we didn't have cable. It was the 3 networks and PBS.
That's
right.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, Mindy, what was a movie that you loved in childhood?
Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
That was like the quintessential childhood movie for me. And there are so many others. Like my childhood, teenage years, all my life have been marked by certain movies. So I have like a pretty good list. But when it comes down to thinking about childhood, when The Wizard of Oz would come on, like everything stopped. And so it was just so magical. And I loved all the colors going from black and white to color. And so that was probably like the movie. But also, like a little more realistic is Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah.
Karate Kid really marked my childhood. And that's one that we still watch today. So we now have that one on DVD.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we used to own it on VHS too, which is so funny.
Yes. I feel like I was in 7th or 8th grade, like summer around there, and the Karate Kid was out. And I remember just listening to the soundtrack with my friends over and over again. Like that was a soundtrack that takes me back a long time.
All right. So I have one more memory. Do you remember when Top Gun came out?
I do, but I don't remember how old I was.
Okay. I was in elementary school and my parents, we were stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia, which is Columbus, Georgia. And we went to the movie theater on base because that's where you went. But I remember my parents had previewed the movie together. And so when they took my brother and I, my mom strategically took me to the bathroom during the scene.
That's funny. That was a good way to do it.
Distinctly remember my mom's like, okay, Mindy, time to go to the bathroom. I was like, I don't have to go to the bathroom. Yes, you do. And we went to the bathroom. But I remember for like months and months later, my friends and I in the backyard talking about how dreamy Tom Cruise was and singing the song like the epitome of the Top Gun movie. What was that song? You know what I'm talking about?
I'd probably know it if I heard it.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Yet I cannot.
Danger Zone?
Oh, yes.
I mean,
Danger
it was
Zone.
a love song, though, that we would like pretend that we were singing with a microphone to Tom Cruise.
That was 1986, by the way.
Okay. There you go.
Yes. Well, no one has mentioned E.T. I feel like that is my first memory of a childhood movie. I remember sitting in the theater with my siblings. My parents may or may not have come because it was like you, Julie, where the movie theater was attached to the mall. And I just don't think parents worried about just dropping their kids off in the theater and then going shopping. But I still remember seeing E.T. I don't know that I've ever really watched it since then, so maybe it wouldn't hold the test of time, but I did enjoy it as a child. I also remember going to see Star Wars in the theater. That was a big deal, and I remember sitting with my siblings watching that. And another one I remember seeing as a child was Goonies. And I'm not sure how old I was for that. I may have gone with friends or I may have gone with my siblings. I don't remember, but I do remember loving that movie.
Me too, Marie. Goonies is an all-time favorite, still favorite of mine.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
No? Okay. That is one that I tried to show my kids, and I didn't feel like it held the test of time.
See, for Mindy, I was probably in high school is why it didn't have the same appeal, or maybe college.
I own that one on DVD too, and it comes out on a rainy summer day. My kids all know, it's a Goonies day.
Yeah. Another one that was kind of between childhood and teen years, I guess, is Back to the Future. I just remember that being huge.
Oh, yeah.
Julie, I think we've talked about this before. That did not stand the test of time when I went to show it to my kids either.
It didn't. No.
I didn't realize how much cussing were in any of those movies.
Yeah.
I do remember, okay, tell me your first adventure into watching Grease. Because I remember we were visiting a relative and my mom went off with my aunts for the day. And when she came home, she found out I had been allowed to watch Grease. And my mom was mortified and I was in heaven. I had no idea at the age why she was mortified. I thought it was amazing. I didn't catch all of the innuendos and the language. And
I wasn't supposed to watch that movie either. I think my mom was mortified that I had seen it. And I just remember that one line from, what was the girl's name? The bad girl?
Rizzo.
She was in the bathroom and she goes, I feel like a broken typewriter that missed a period. And I was like, what does that mean?
I have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a movie that I had to watch at a friend's house. It was funny because we never had like HBO or anything like that, but my friends did. So, you know, if you went over to a friend's house, you could watch much better movies than you could see at my house. Better in quotes, you know. All right, well, let's move into our teen.
Hold on, wait. There's one movie that nobody mentioned that that was one of those come on every year that I always waited for. Not really a kids movie, but did y'all ever watch the Charlton Heston The 10 Commandments? Was that a big deal? Oh,
No.
every year that was a big deal for me because it lasted, 3.5, 4 hours. So,
oh my goodness.
Had an intermission, so you really stretched out the bedtime thing,
Okay,
Oh
you
my
were really
goodness.
into stretching out your bedtime, Julie. What was your bedtime?
I think it was like 8 or 9. I hated going to bed because I'm a night person, so I just hated that.
Okay, yeah.
I was
Yes.
always looking for any reason to stay up later.
The only long movie we would watch was Gone with the Wind. And I
Yes.
fell in love with that movie with my mom.
Yeah, and that would only come on once a year, too.
Yeah.
Yes, that was
So-
a big deal.
I remember I wanted my dad to tape it once we got a VHS. I think I must have been in high school. And I must have been at work, and I came home to him trying to work the VCR to tape
Yes.
something, to record something. And I mean, kids nowadays would laugh. It's probably the simplest of technology, but he had the manual out. So frustrated.
No,
I don't
it
think
was
we ever
hard.
did get to get it to record anything. It was so frustrating.
Yeah, because you had to have your clock right, not
You
blinking
did.
12. And then
Right.
you had to pick AM or PM. And so many times you'd record it, on the wrong
Yes.
12 hours or whatever.
Right.
Or you'd cut it off. It wouldn't finish and you wouldn't see the end. or-
Right.
It was always
You
frustrating.
had to
It
pick the
was
speed you wanted to record at, and if you didn't have enough left
Yeah.
on your tape, it might not record it. It was
Yep.
it's an exercise in frustration every single time.
Yes.
Yes. Or
Yes.
you taped over something really important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I
Oops.
have a story about that later in the show. Well, let's talk about our favorite movies during our teen years. Julie, why don't you start us off? What did you love as a teen?
It's funny because a lot of the movies you mentioned were my teen year movies. Like,
Oh,
I remember 1977. I don't know. I wasn't a teen in 77, but I remember seeing Star Wars
okay.
with a friend in the theater. Rocky was a big one for me. I loved Close Encounters of the Third Kind because that was that was
Creepy.
a really bizarre movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Raiders of the Lost Ark, Back to the Future, those were all great. And I had a huge crush on Christopher Reeve. So I loved the Superman movies.
Okay.
Mhm.
Superman was your hero.
Yep.
Oh, that's good. Mindy, what did you love as a teen?
As a teen, probably my favorite movie was Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And I remember it was a
remember
little
that.
bit older. Yes,
Mhm.
with Sarah Jessica Parker. Loved that movie so much. I could watch that over and over again. And then, do you remember the Mannequin movie?
Give me a little hint.
Okay, so it's like she's a mannequin, but she comes to life at the store like at night, and she turns back into a mannequin during the day.
I don't know. I probably saw previews for it, but I don't know that I saw it.
Yeah.
The first one wasn't very popular. The second one even less popular. But for some reason, Mannequin 2 was like one of my all-time favorite movies.
It must have hit you. It's kind of bringing me back to that movie. Was it like Daryl Hannah with the real long hair? She turns back and forth into a
Splash.
mermaid. Oh, yeah, Splash. It's
Splash,
reminded me of that
yes.
level of movie.
It was like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you hear my list of other ones, Encino Man, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Dumb and Dumber, it's like, what were we thinking? Like literally the dumbest movies out there. And that was my teen years. So
That's so funny.
I don't know what that says about me, but there you go.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that in my teen years, it was like Pretty in Pink and the Breakfast Club people, Dirty Dancing, Pretty Women. That was like my all-time favorite. But two that are kind of off the wall, but I remember, and I'll talk about a little bit later, but Silence of the Lambs. I mean,
Oh.
seriously, what was I doing going to see that? I just
I still
remember-
haven't seen that. I
You
couldn't watch it.
haven't?
No,
Oh,
me
no.
neither.
I still
don't
remember the
want
girl
to.
in the pit, and when
I
my
don't want to.
fingernails get too long, I think, well, at least I might be able to claw my way out of a pit. I mean, just some of those
Oh.
scenes stick in your mind. It was
Oh,
so
No.
creepy, you guys. I don't even know how I slept at night for the next few years.
Yeah.
And then Fatal Attraction, same thing. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later.
Never watched that either.
No, you didn't? Okay.
Right. Like your whole list is almost all rated R. I was not allowed to watch any of those things. None
I was
of them.
pretty sheltered.
I didn't watch these with my parents. I watched it with my friends. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know why there were a lot of scary movies as part of my childhood.
Yours are scary. Mine are
Yeah.
dumb. And Julie's are probably really good.
Okay, do you have any favorites from when you were dating your husband? Favorite movies? And Julie, I just had to laugh because I know you and John are so into movies. And I texted Steve this last night. Did we have any favorite movies? Like, can't think of any. I honestly think from the time we started dating till 2 years later when we got married, I don't know that we ever saw a movie together. He just doesn't like movies. We never go to the movies. I could probably count on two hands the number of movies we've ever seen together in over 25 years of marriage at the theater. Like, we just don't go.
Oh, wow. Our first date was a movie, so it started off at the movie theater. But yeah, we have lots of favorites that we kind of relate to back to that time, and we still watch. We're creatures of habit. We like to watch the same thing over and over again. But some of our favorites have been that came out, like we got married in 1988, started dating in 86. So during those years, Raising Arizona is one of our favorites. It's a Coen Brothers movie with Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter. Have y'all seen it?
I have definitely seen it offered. I could picture the picture of the movie, like poster.
Yeah, he's an ex-con and she's a cop, and they can't have children. So there's a rich family that has quintuplets, so they take one of theirs. And it is so funny.
Is it? All right.
I love Holly
my
Hunter.
watch list.
You need to watch that. It's bizarre because it's a Coen Brothers film, so they're known for bizarre. The Princess Bride, because we quote that all the time. A kind of a unique, it wasn't like a blockbuster movie, was Adventures in Babysitting. Did you ever see that?
I love that movie. Yes.
I just rewatched that.
Yeah, we love that movie.
It's on Disney Plus. Yeah.
Mrs. Doubtfire. Favorite. Yeah. And then one of our all-time favorites is Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Have you seen that?
No.
Okay, that has Steve Martin. I love movies with a plot twist, and I never saw that one coming. It's really creative. And so yeah, that's when we rewatch over and over. But our first date was a movie called Hannah and Her Sisters, and it was a Woody Allen movie. John picked it. For some reason he likes Woody Allen movies.
I've never seen a Woody Allen movie.
It's so depressing. It was just this highly, highly dysfunctional family. And it was just like you were sitting in their living room watching all their junk, And he's just really lucky he got a second date after that one, because it was not a good pick. And, I will find him watching it repeatedly sometimes, like through our 30 years of marriage so far. I think he's just sentimental about it.
There must be something that appeals, because sometimes you can watch a movie that a friend recommended. You're like, I just don't see the appeal of this at all. But there's something in there that must strike a note with them.
I know. And, John is such an optimist, and Woody Allen is such a pessimist. Like, it's so pessimistic and dark. All of his movies are dark comedies, and they expose a lot about the human nature. I guess he likes that part, but I just don't enjoy them. So that was his first pick for us. And
wow. And you stuck with him.
I know. I got to pick the movies from then on.
For real.
Well, Mindy, did you go on a lot of movie dates with Bryce? Did you guys like movies?
The one big memory that I have about movies is actually watching a VHS tape in my parents' living room.
Okay.
And we loved While You Were Sleeping.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
It was such a good movie. But I remember specifically, like, my parents had just gone to bed, and we were like in the middle of the movie. And it's the part where Sandra Bullock wakes up at the guy's family's house, and there's this one short scene of the boy on the bicycle, and he's throwing the paper and he flips the bike. And it's just this one comedic, it's like a second in the whole movie. Well, Bryce and I were laughing so hard, and it was a VHS tape. So Bryce kept getting up to rewind that one scene and of the boy falling off the bicycle. And probably by the third or fourth time, he was laughing so hard, he accidentally pushed the VHS thing off, that like it fell behind the huge entertainment centers that we all had. Goodness. And we had to go wake up my dad because we couldn't get it back.
I'm sure that was a welcome interruption to his sleep.
Thanks a lot, guys. But no other movies while we were dating, but there were two that were very memorable our first year of marriage. They came out at the same time, and we made like no money. We were so broke, but we actually went to the movies to see both of these because they were so highly rated. Titanic came out with Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio, and Good Will Hunting came out. We're both in the movie theater at the same time. And we loved both of those. And so I just remember that first year of marriage, making an investment to go to the movies twice. Because both of these, twice. Yeah, that was a big deal.
Back when the tickets were probably $5.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like $2.50 for a matinee.
I know.
Do you guys have any family favorites or favorites of you and your husband or that are more recent that somebody listening might say, "Oh, I haven't seen that. I'm going to rent it this weekend." Actually, you don't even rent it. That's such a phrase that's gone out. I'm going to stream it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we love the Oceans movie, Oceans 11.
Okay.
And 12 and 13, but 11 is our favorite. I mean, I could watch those over and over and over. And we love all the Bourne movies. In fact, every winter we watch them again.
I love the Bourne
sometime
movies.
in January or February.
Yes.
And then I think Pirates of the Caribbean sticks in my memory because it was kind of the first movie that wasn't a cartoon that all of us watched together. And I think the summer it came out, we might have seen it 6 or 7 times in the theater because that's how much we love going to the movie. So we would take a different kid each time or friends of kids or so. I don't even know if I would enjoy watching it now, but I remember we quoted it and laughed about it and just saw it over and over and over again. So those are good memories.
Similar to Julie, like we love the Bourne movies, but I'll add, we really enjoy the Mission Impossible movies, all of them.
I do too.
And I love the new A-Team movie. I wish they would make another one. It was really good. We have it on DVD. And of course, I've mentioned this before, but all the Marvel movies are favorites. And thankfully, they're on Disney Plus. So we've just gone back through and watched all of them. Now, I have listed some movies that are like my boys' favorites. And we kind of joke about it because I am so tired of seeing them, but my boys want to watch them. All of the war movies, Hacksaw Ridge.
That was good.
They want to watch these movies. And I'm like, I don't have the stomach for them. One that I just find annoying that my husband loves is Rudy.
I don't really like that movie either.
I don't either. I tried.
Crazy. He loves it. I think that will go down as his all-time favorite. And one now that Jacob teases me about that Jacob could watch over and over is Invincible.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
It's a good movie, but I'm tired of it.
I really do love all the war and sports movies that are good. I love watching those with my kids, like The Patriot and what's that Miracle on Ice movie, and just like anything war or sports that is really so well done. I've made my boys watch all those with me.
Yeah, we love Saving Private Ryan. That's one of our favorites, and it's based on a true story. So
it is.
Go ahead.
Movies that I want to watch on repeat are movies like The Last Holiday with Queen Latifah. Like that's
I have not seen that, Mindy.
What'd you say, Marie?
I have not seen that. It sounds good.
I've already watched it this Christmas season. I'm totally going to be watching it again. I love You've Got Mail in the Fall. I have mentioned that. And so those are kind of like, I love silly, quirky movies like that are lighthearted and happy.
Yeah. I was trying to think of movies that we've seen at the theater as a family, and one that I really loved, just from having grown up with the books, I loved it when we went to see Ramona and Beezus. That was such a good movie. Mindy, you're nodding your head. Did you love it too?
I haven't seen it.
You haven't? Oh, you'd love it, Julie. Did you read the book?
Because I love the book. Oh,
yes,
yeah. I love
the movie was really, really good.
The movie was so cute. I saw that with my young Abby and my cousin Holly, and we just loved it so much. We had a girls' date and went to dinner. It was a big deal.
Yeah, a more recent one I feel that way about is the Little Women movie that came out a few years ago. That was just an escape into wonderfulness. It was so good. Then there was another movie that came out. I think it had Julia Roberts maybe and Owen Wilson, Wonder. That was a fantastic family movie. It was so excellent, and it was just as excellent as the book. And you rarely find that a movie is as good as the book.
It's funny because I like men movies.
Oh,
okay, yeah.
Like I watch The Godfather all the time. I love The Godfather. I love James Bond movies. Dr. No is my all-time favorite because I kind of had a crush on Sean Connery as well. And then all my Cary Grant movies, like all the Alfred Hitchcock ones, North by Northwest, To Catch a Thief, Rear Window with Jimmy Stewart. Like, I love all those kind of movies. Those are the ones we rewatch. All those classic ones.
Yeah.
Who hasn't thought Sean Connery was a hunk? I don't know.
Yeah. Another one that I love to rewatch as a family, and I did convince one of my daughters to rewatch it last month when we were on vacation, is Marley and Me. I love that movie. I never get tired of it. It always appeals to me.
It's too sad.
Too sad?
I don't remember the movie, Marie, but I remember that I cried at the end, so I will never watch that again.
I love movies that bring up emotion in me. That's what I want to see.
Oh my gosh.
And Mindy, you love movies that bring up laughter in you.
Yes, laughter, happy. But I do like a good story, like suspenseful. I remember loving The Pelican Brief with Denzel Washington and Julia Roberts.
All the John Grisham movies were good.
Yes. Okay. So the other movies that are on rewatch every fall or winter are Harry Potter. So my family had like Harry Potter came into our lives. I wouldn't let Abby read them until she was probably a teenager. And then she and I read them at the same time. And then for her 16th birthday, we went to Harry Potter World and she was in heaven and cried when she walked in because it looked just like the books. But like Harry Potter significantly marked like our lives for a certain amount of time. And now I just love the sound of them. Like I will put them on because the music is so beautiful. The scenes are so beautiful. And Nathan is reading the books now and I'm so excited and I'm trying to talk him into finishing so I can take him to Harry Potter World.
Yeah, we didn't read those as kids either, but Molly read them in college. And then we started watching the movies. So now that's a good Christmas time thing to do is go through that whole series. I love those movies and I do kind of associate them with Christmas.
All right, well, let's move on to TV. Let's talk about our favorite childhood TV shows. And this really brought back a lot of memories. And I wonder if because we didn't have a lot of choices, if you guys watched some of these too. I can remember my family sitting down, I feel like these were on Saturday night, every week to watch Hee Haw. Did you guys ever watch Hee Haw as a family?
Well, my grandparents did, and I hated it. I hated that show. I hated it. Because I think I spent the night with them a lot on Saturday night. Like they would babysit while my parents were out. And I dreaded 5 o'clock because I knew we were going to have to watch Hee Haw.
Oh, was it on that early? Okay, well, we lived in New York and I think it came on at 7 maybe. And I loved Hee Haw. I didn't necessarily love all the jokes, but I loved the guest singers they would have on. Anyways, it was a family experience. We watched that every week. I remember watching Barbara Mandrell and the Mandrell sisters. Did you guys ever watch that show? They were so beautiful and glamorous, and I just really enjoyed that show. But then like actual TV shows with stories that we used to watch, loved The Dukes of Hazzard. My brothers and I loved The Dukes of Hazzard. Did you guys watch that?
No.
Yeah,
you didn't?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I did. Loved it.
We loved the A-Team. Mindy, you mentioned that. Yes. I can still remember when that would come on every week.
I pity the fool.
Yes. We loved Family Ties. I loved Family Ties. That was so wonderful. And what was the one with Kirk Cameron? Growing Pains. I loved that show too.
Me too.
Yeah. So Little House on the Prairie, that was probably my favorite, but all the other ones were ones that all 4 of us, I had 3 siblings, we could all sit down and watch and we all enjoyed. How about you guys?
Hey, do you remember Green Acres?
I would watch that in reruns sometimes.
Yeah,
Green
I saw
Acres,
those in reruns.
Beverly Hillbillies, I Dream of Jeannie.
Those all came on like in the hour before the news or something.
Yeah.
Loved all of those. And then for me, Saturday morning was cartoon time when I was younger.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Younger. And then Saved by the Bell is my all-time favorite show growing up. I loved Saved by the Bell. I loved all of the characters. Did you guys ever watch that?
No, I think I must have been older when it became popular. I know it was a popular show, but I never watched it. Yeah.
Well, you just hurt me just a little bit there. But that was, I thought Zach was so cute.
Yeah. Well, what were some of your favorite shows, Julie?
I loved Gilligan's Island. And I think these were all reruns because I would get up and watch it before school.
Okay.
I would get up and eat my breakfast so I could watch it at 7 before school.
Oh, she's staying up late and getting up early. You hear this? Wow.
I loved Laverne and Shirley, Mork and Mindy.
Oh, yeah. I remember Mork and Mindy.
And these were the nighttime shows that I liked were like The Love Boat, Heart to Heart, Little House on the Prairie, The Waltons, Chips. Do you remember the California
Chips,
Highway
yes,
Patrol?
I love Chips. Yes.
Yeah, I loved that one. And then going way back to childhood, I know y'all will not remember this show, but it was called Family Affair. The little girl had a doll named Mrs. Beasley, and you could buy Mrs. Beasley dolls. She wore a blue polka dot dress, and she had little wire rim glasses, and she had a pull string that made her talk. So I had the Mrs. Beasley doll. I can't even remember what the premise of the show was, but I just remember that doll.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's neat.
I also had some favorites that were on PBS, and they came on in the mornings. Like my mom would let me watch TV in the morning, or maybe some of these were Saturday morning. Captain Kangaroo was my favorite. I guess my all-time favorite was Zoom. Do y'all remember Zoom?
Maybe.
Oh my God. Very vague.
What was it about?
Because this went to like 1998. It was
okay.
Come on and Zoom. You don't remember that?
I feel like I maybe remember the song. I don't know.
Yeah, they all wore little striped rugby shirts, and it was a show by kids for kids, and kids would write in recipes or crafts or science experiments, or they would write their own little play or a poem, and then the kids on the show would do it, and everything had a song, and they spoke ubby-dubby. Do you remember that?
No.
That's where they would add before every vowel. So like, hi friends would be hubby frubbians.
Oh, that would drive me insane.
No. This is not ringing a bell.
Funny. And then I remember at the end of the show, they would say, write us with your favorite plays or poems or whatever. And they would say, send it to Zoom, ZOOM, Box 350, Boston, Mass. 02134.
Wow, you must have really loved that show.
Wow, this made a
You've
got
to look it up on YouTube. Yes, I'm sure it'll ring a bell.
All right. Well, as a teen, I loved Moonlighting. Do you guys remember that show with Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd? I loved Moonlighting. And then my absolute all-time favorite was 30-something. And that was a show.
I knew you were going to say that.
That
was a good show.
The last season aired my freshman year of college, and everybody in my suite loved that show too. And you didn't have a TV in your dorm room. You only had it down the hall in the community room. And I remember, I don't even know if it was the last season, but maybe it was the season finale of one of the seasons. And we were all going to watch it. And an hour later, so many girls, including myself, were crying because Gary died. You didn't kill off main characters on shows very often, and we just did not see that coming. We expected Nancy to die, not Gary. It was like a real person had died. I can still remember the gut punch of like, we were so emotionally invested, and we all cried. I still remember that night. So love that show.
Yeah, I think I was married when I watched that show.
Okay.
I was not interested in that. And I think it was just a little too old for me.
Yeah,
maybe.
It could have been. Mm-hmm.
The one show I remember trying to sneak to watch because I wasn't allowed to watch it was 90210.
I didn't watch that because it was too young for me, but I remember it being popular.
That was my time for sure. I remember a specific day in a specific house of turning the channel. I would sit in front of the Magnavox TV that was on the floor, and I would turn the channel to watch 90210, and I would hear someone coming, so I'd hurry up and turn it to whatever else, and then they would leave, and I would turn it back, and I was like getting snippets of this show.
Yeah.
That was the one I was dying to watch, but I wasn't allowed to watch it. But in college, Friends was definitely my era. And so I had a rich roommate, and so she had a TV in the room, which was awesome. So we would go to her room and watch Friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You talking about your mom not wanting you to watch something and then you switching the channel. Julie had asked, did you ever go through a soap opera phase? And I remember being in elementary school, probably bored during the summer. My parents had a TV in their bedroom, and I got into As the World Turns. I don't know how I discovered this wonderful romance, but I've always been a sucker for romantic stuff, movies, TV, and I would sneak in there in the afternoon. And one day my mother discovered me and said, Marie, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing watching soap opera? I know I was in elementary school because of the house we lived in. And then I don't know if it was a year or two later, we still lived in that house. I begged her so much if I could please watch a soap opera when I got home from school. And I used to watch a half hour, it was only a half hour long, The Bold and the Beautiful. And I just had to watch that every single day. So yes, Julie, there was a phase where I enjoyed soap operas.
I didn't think it would be in elementary school.
I do have a funny story about that. Apparently, when I was young, my mom went through a soap opera phase. And she said what made her stop was that one time, and I don't remember this, one time she missed an episode and I told her every person and everything they did and everything they said, and I could recount the entire storyline and I knew what I was talking about. She said, at that point, I knew I needed to stop watching soap operas.
I remember, all my morning shows coming on, and I knew the day was going to be, I just dreaded the hour of the day when the kids shows went off and soap operas started. I just thought, because you had no choices in the afternoon. It was just more adult stuff. And so my mom, she watched Days of Our Lives, and I just thought, it's so painful. I hate it when this is on. And then in college, I started watching that, and I think it's one of the longest running soap operas ever. And it's so funny because periodically, 10 years later, I just flip it on for fun. And it was like you never left. The characters are the same, even the same actresses, and they almost look the same.
I know. It's really kind of creepy. It's kind of creepy.
I totally agree. Even now, so I went through a Days of Our Lives season when Abby was a newborn. I loved watching Matlock reruns, and then I would watch Days of Our Lives because there was nothing else to do. And it's so funny, Julie, like I could only stand so much of that.
Yeah.
And even now, every time I go through the line at the grocery store, you know how you see like the Reader's Digest or the TV guides or whatever, you still see like the little plot line or whatever. And I'm like, the same guy's still there. Sonny's still there. Like,
they're still struggling in Salem.
I know.
Well, let's talk about shows that we love from the 2000s, which would be our adulthood. This was a little bit before the 2000s, but a show we loved when we got married was Mad About You. And you guys, speaking of how hard it was to get VCRs to work, I was taping that show. I taped over part of my wedding video. I had showed my wedding video to my grandmother who had visited earlier in the day, and it was still in the VCR. See, this is why VCRs were terrible, because you would forget what tape you had in there. And I taped over part of my wedding video. So Mad About You, yes, I like it, but I don't really like to think about it because I'm mad at my mistake.
Yeah. Brings up bad memories. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But of course, we loved shows like Seinfeld and ER. Every week we had to watch ER, CSI. We loved CSI. What were some of the ones that you guys liked in your early marrieds?
Well, we liked Seinfeld. Marie, you mentioned ER, and that was the one show that stuck in my memory because it came on every Thursday night, and I just made sure dinner was served early that night, bath time was done. That was my one night the kids were going to be in by 7 and I was going to relax
watch ER
TV. And that was my show. Like I just had that one show that I didn't want to miss, and I don't know, that was just very important to me to to get to have that time
and
set
I
aside.
don't know, I mean, I guess I probably could have taped it at that time, but you made sure to watch it. You didn't want to miss and be behind.
No, I liked watching it live. Yeah.
What did you and Bryce like when you first got married, Mindy?
All right. The only show that we made sure that we were home for and the kids were in bed for was Alias.
Oh,
Alias
yeah, that was a good one.
Came on Wednesday nights. And I remember he was in grad school. We loved it. Like we loved everything about it. Like all the different places she went, all the different people she tried to be. Like Alias was the epitome. And honestly, Bryce could care less about TV shows. So it's funny because all of these that you guys have mentioned, I remember when we moved to Brentwood, the Brentwood Library became my best friend because I never watched things in real time. Alias was the only one. I saw ER by renting
all the DVDs
episodes from the Brentwood Library. Like I'm always late to the party when it comes to TV shows. So that's how I saw a lot of things that you guys have talked about was through the Brentwood Library. Like during nap time, I would turn on an episode or whatever.
That's how we watched Monk.
Monk was a good family show.
Yeah, we watched those later. Yeah.
Yes.
One of the shows that Steve and I loved a little bit later on was Prison Break. We loved that show. It was one of the first few shows I remember staying up like, I mean, we were at the point in our marriage where we went to bed at a decent time. You know, we had all 5 kids. But for this show, we would stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning. We just had to watch another episode. It was so, so good.
I remember you telling me how much you loved this show when we were walking. And so I went and got it. And we were like, I'm not sure what she sees in this show. Like, this is a little too violent for us. Like, I remember there was a scene. I was like, I'm so scared. I can't watch the rest. I literally turned it off.
I used to get afraid of it too, but I must like that feeling.
This is like my suspense level is too deep at this point. So I think I'll ask Julie what to watch next.
Well, I'm sure that a lot of us have watched Lost, if you're listening. That was hugely popular in the 2000s. Oh, you never watched Lost, Julie?
I did.
It was later, though, not when it was popular.
Yeah. What about Everybody Loves Raymond? We watched this on reruns, so I don't know when it really came out, but we used to watch it, you know, every night from like 9:30 to 10.
Right.
And loved
it's
that.
It's funnier the older I get, when I see an old episode of Everybody Loves Raymond, I'm like, this is hilarious.
Right.
And how did I not love this a long time ago? I don't know.
Well, and there's an episode where he tapes over their wedding video too.
Oh, okay.
A football game gets taped over the wedding video.
Yeah. The Middle, that's, I think, one of our all-time family favorites. Yeah. One of my family favorites with my kids, Steve's never gotten into it, but every single one of my kids has loved it, Parenthood. We've loved to watch that together. And The Office. Everybody in the family thinks The Office is funny. So I would say those are probably our top ones. Do you guys have anything to add to that list?
Probably not. I mean, our family loves The Office. I never got into it, but I feel like I know it all because I've heard it secondhand.
Yeah, we never.
Seriously.
I feel like I need to give it another go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like people tell me like get past the first season, and I have not done that yet. So I've struggled. But Monk and The Middle are 2 like quintessential family TV shows we would watch over and over.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, let's move into songs. Songs you remember from your childhood. Julie, I wonder what songs you listen to that Mindy and I have not heard of.
Well, I just started thinking about, obviously, your first exposure to music is probably riding in the car with your parents or listening to their record albums. I mean, that's how my parents, they had a huge stereo console with records. And I can still see some of the record album covers because I like to play with them. And I just remember hearing lots of Glenn Campbell. Do you remember have you heard the song?
I mean, I know his
Cowboy?
name. Oh, yeah. Rhinestone Cowboy. Yeah.
Yeah, loved that. They loved Kenny Rogers, Crystal Gale.
How do you not like country music then, Julie, when you were exposed when you were young?
I think that's what set it off. Like Hee-Haw and this really turned me against.
Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, so John Denver, that did stick with me.
Yes.
But then I remember when my dad got a new company car, it had an 8-track player in the car. And I thought, this is pretty advanced. Like we are moving up. Yeah. So, and then my first car had a cassette player. So, that's how I listened to music. And I even remember having a few record albums of my own. Like I had the Mary Poppins soundtrack, Dr. Dolittle, Peter and the Wolf, which was like an orchestra arrangement of Peter and the Wolf, like a story. And I think my favorite album that my parents had, and I remember buying it on CD when I got married, was the Johnny Mathis Christmas album. It's the one where he's in ski clothes on a mountain on the cover, and it's even my kids' favorite Christmas music. Like when we decorate our tree, that's what's playing, and it just takes me back to when I was 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to play some of it on Apple Music and see.
I think when John and I first got married, that's when we started buying compact discs. Like, okay, this is going to be the format that lasts forever. So we're getting rid of all the tapes and we're going to buy it all because we love music. So we have a lot of CDs and we still have them. I don't know if I should keep them or not, but I just can't part with them. So
right. Well, Julie, we had a lot of those same 8 tracks, like the John Denver, the Crystal Gale, but in particular, I remember I loved loved my dad's Ronnie Millsap 8-track.
Mhm.
And a couple years ago, I think it was right before COVID hit, we actually went to I think it was the Ryman or somewhere else, and saw Ronnie Millsap perform. And he was still good, and I still enjoyed all his
Wow.
songs. That has stuck with me my whole life.
Oh,
And
wow.
he was probably 80 at that concert.
I bet.
Yeah, yeah. Mindy, what did you like as a child?
Well, I definitely I feel like I had really good genes when it came to music, and my parents, they loved music. I remember from childhood singing, specifically Randy Travis, Digging Up Bones was like, that is a song that takes me back from my dad working on his car in the garage. It's like the quintessential, but Randy Travis, just his voice, that sound, like that is so definitely my dad. But they loved Alabama was a really big group. And I remember my dad thought it was really cool. This is so funny to hear your perspective, Julie, because I remember my dad showing my brother and I, look, I found an 8-track player. And
like it was vintage.
He was like, yeah, it was. And we were young and he had Fleetwood Mac that he played on the 8-track player. And so I do remember one night, like him pulling the 8-track player out and being like, look, guys, like you don't see these anymore.
And it's so funny to think of one in your car because the tapes were so big. Where were you going to
huge.
store these huge tapes, you know?
I know. So, the Fleetwood Mac. Oh my gosh. And then we loved Amy Grant. Like her first album. And I just saw her in concert this year at our little amphitheater here in LaGrange, and she's still amazing.
Oh, that's great.
Love her.
All the fabulous groups, Journey, Chicago, those were amazing groups. I still love those. But me personally, I loved Madonna, Tiffany.
I did too.
Debbie Gibson.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Grant.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Grant. Bryce, you can tease him sometimes. He knows all the words to Vogue. And him and his friend had made up like hand motions for it and everything. So that's funny. But Debbie Gibson was my all-time favorite. People said I looked like her because I had the bangs and the long blonde hair. And so anytime at school we had like a dress like a celebrity, I would dress like Debbie Gibson and draw a little smiley face on my knee. Like, yes. There was this picture of her. I don't know if it was an album cover or like on, like a TV Guide magazine or 17 or something like that, where she's sitting and she has a rip in her jeans and she always had like a smiley face drawn on her knee.
Well, as a teen, I remember when the Bon Jovi album came out, and I don't know if it was his first or what, or if just it was his best, but I remember having a Walkman. I'm sure you guys had Walkmans, and riding the bus to an away game, I don't know what, and listening to those songs over and over again. And you could take the cassette tape paper out and all the words to all the songs would be written inside. And so you could sing along like in your mind, because otherwise a lot of times you wouldn't understand quite the words. But I remember memorizing just about every word to every song on that tape.
I feel like I've gotten dumber with songs. I'm like, how did I used to know all the words to all the songs? And that's how.
That's why.
I would study that.
I had forgotten the Walkman. That was a fun thing. Yeah.
Another group I really liked was Aerosmith. And when I was in college and went to visit Steve in New York City, we were in FAO Schwartz and I got my picture taken with Steven Tyler, who was shopping for, I don't know, one of his kids or a girlfriend's kid. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But Steve's like, I think that's Steven Tyler. And we went over and said, can she get her picture with you?
Oh my gosh. Do you still have that?
Cool.
I want
somewhere.
To see it.
I mean, it was on a negative and had it printed out. So it's not like I could just easily pull it up. But yes, I remember it hung in my dorm room then, because that was a cool thing.
Yeah.
Totally. It was New Kids on the Block. And I loved Boyz II Men, Paula Abdul, Janet Jackson. Like that was my teen years. And thankfully my parents let me listen to that. And they enjoyed their music. And again, full circle, I have seen multiple of those people in concert as a 40-year-old and still loved every single minute of it. So I just love all of those groups. Like that was like my teenage years.
Yeah. Yeah. Julie, you didn't say what your teenage years were because you moved on from country music. So what did you like?
Exactly.
Well, Journey was my all-time favorite.
Oh, they were good.
I liked Rush, REO Speedwagon.
Oh, I loved REO Speedwagon.
Me too.
Hall and Oates.
Uh-huh.
Chicago.
Yes.
And I saw most of these in concert. Beach Boys, ELO, which they were a little older. I remember I had a friend who had an older sister and she loved ELO. She was about 4 years older than us. So I got into ELO thinking this was like sophisticated, older music. Yeah. And I still have I still have playlists with all of these songs. I'm kind of stuck in that time period.
One cassette tape that I had that I love, but I don't really know what era it falls in, is Air Supply. Did you guys love Air Supply?
Yes.
Journey in Chicago. Yeah.
Steve has told me that sometimes they still tour, and that is one concert I would still love to go to.
Yeah. I loved Paul McCartney and Wings too. Did y'all ever listen to them?
No.
Band on the Run?
I mean, I know the song, but I didn't choose to turn it on. Yeah. All
right. One thing I wanted to mention is, and see if you guys ever did this. My best friend and I, every Sunday afternoon, we would get together at one of our houses to listen to the top 40. The top 40 countdown, and we would make tapes up for the week. So we had our little cassette recorders ready, and you would just tape the songs you liked. So you were just waiting to hit record. And sometimes, you hated because the DJ would talk over like the very first part of it or whatever. But then you had this customized playlist. Who would have thought that we'd be doing it on streaming so easily now?
Right.
But it took so much work. I mean, it took all Sunday afternoon to get this tape for the week,
Yeah.
That was just the highlight of my week.
Or you would make that for like a boyfriend, or someone might make one
date
for
tapes.
you. Like, yes, like
that's a mixtape.
That was like an act of love to get all those songs down.
Yes.
It took hours.
Yeah.
It's true. My friends and I would get together and make up dances. We would make up dances like in my backyard or in her living room or whatever. And so to all these songs, like that's what we would be doing. We would be the backup dancers. And I still dream of being a backup dancer.
I'd love to be a backup dancer. All right. Well, Julie asked, what is the concert that is the most memorable for you? So, Julie, I'm curious, what is the concert that's the most memorable for you?
Well, I remember it was one of those concerts where multiple bands came, and it was Journey, REO Speedwagon, and Joan Jett. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And I wanted to go to this. It was going to be outdoors at the Liberty Bowl. And I was probably I might have been a freshman in high school, 8th grade, 9th grade, maybe. And I remember asking if I could go. And my dad goes, I really don't want you to go to this. Because he wasn't going. It was going to be me and a friend, and it was a girl. And he goes, I just don't think an outdoor concert, you're going to like it. There's going to be a lot of drugs and all, and all this. And I was like, Dad, I don't care. I'm not using drugs. I want to go to this concert. And against his wishes, he let me go. And it was one of those, like, I'm going to let her do this so she can see what I said was true. And I remember feeling so uncomfortable. I was so naive. Like, people were passing their marijuana down the row and, offering it to us. And I'd just not grown up in that environment. I went to a private school, and I don't know. It really did kind of sink in like, yeah, this is not where I need to be.
Oh, no.
Well, that was a memorable concert.
So it was memorable. Yeah. But I would say probably, the fun ones were Chicago and Beach Boys. Those were fun concerts.
Yeah.
Right.
That's funny because when you were a freshman in high school, you saw Joan Jett. Well, I'm a little bit younger than you. So her career probably tanked a bit because then she came to a tiny college by me and I saw her in high school seeing Joan Jett. So like she went downhill to end up in a little tiny college in upstate New York where I went to see her.
And I had never heard of her until they did a movie about her when I was an adult. I was like, who's that?
I love rock and roll.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's who that was.
All right, Mindy, what was your most memorable concert?
Well, this is funny because we didn't do a lot of concerts in my home. The only concerts that I remember going to, do you guys remember Carmen? He was a Christian singer.
Yeah.
He was hilarious. Like he had the funniest songs and music. And so I went to see Carmen in concert and I remember loving that. But the concert, because it meant so much to me to actually see somebody in person. So I've seen more concerts now as an adult than I ever did as a kid. And so going to see New Kids on the Block, Boyz II Men, and Paula Abdul as an adult was one of my favorite concerts.
Yeah.
Because I had like 3 other friends. We made t-shirts. They were bedazzled. They were amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And we were living in Knoxville at the time. So we drove to Nashville to see them. And I just thought that was amazing. So
That's
fun
awesome.
girl trip, walking
Yeah.
down memory lane, still singing all of the same songs.
And I wonder how old Paula Abdul is.
Oh, I don't even care. She was my favorite. And I know she was lip syncing and I didn't even care because I was so enamored with Paula Abdul.
Well, Julie, this really got me thinking. This took me way back to my senior year of high school, and everybody likes the Rolling Stones. Like, there's a song you like, but for some reason, my friends really like the Rolling Stones. I was a senior. They decided we should go. And my daughter, she caught me looking this concert up on YouTube last night. She's like, "What are you doing, Mom?" And I was telling her about it, and she said, "Your mom let you do that?" So I looked it up to read what they had said about it. It said that the 1989 concert at the Carrier Dome, this was in Syracuse, wasn't just a concert. It was a rock spectacular filled with fireworks, flashing lights, 2 50-foot tall inflatable honky-tonk women, and 2 dozen of the best songs in the rock catalog.
Oh, my.
It says the group played before nearly 80,000 fans over the course of the 2 nights. It said that lines began forming at the Carrier box more than 5 days before tickets went on sale. I don't know how we got tickets then. I don't know if someone's parents drove up or what. It said they sold at a rate of 500 a minute from 8 to 9:20 a.m. and broke the all-time ticket sales record that was set by Bruce Springsteen. So I don't know how we got tickets to this, but my parents said that I could go with, I don't know how many friends, at least 2 cars, because I remember kind of going in and out from each other on the interstate laughing. 3 hours away, we rented hotel rooms. I guess you must be able to, anyone that was 18, rent a hotel room. Spend the night, go to this Rolling Stones concert. And I remember when he came out on stage, Mick Jagger came out and sang "Start Me Up." And it was the loudest, most excited roar. But I still remember that. That probably was the best concert I ever went to because it was such a unique experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I live to tell about it. But
Take My Breath Away. I've come full circle.
Oh,
Top
yes,
Gun.
Top Gun.
Take My Breath
that was
Away.
the song. Yes.
Yes.
That's it. That's the love song.
Yes. Who hasn't danced to Take My Breath Away?
That was it right there.
All right. Well, listeners, we hope that you enjoy this trip down memory lane. I know that I've enjoyed it. We would love to hear what some of your favorites were, or if you listened to this episode and thought, yes, that brings back such great memories. Find us on Instagram. Let us know. We're at Midlife Matters Podcast, or you can email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yes, it was really fun. And I know that I'm going to have to re-look up some of this, or probably at least play some of the songs. So who knows what you'll listen to today. All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
All right.
All right.
Yeah,
Bye.
Bye. We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.